The spiral nemesis is basically what happens when evolution goes too far. In Gurren Lagann's universe, spiral power is this energy that comes from DNA and willpower. It's what lets Simon and his crew do impossible things like throwing galaxies at each other. But if every spiral race keeps evolving and using more spiral power without limits, all that energy eventually creates a black hole so massive it swallows the entire universe. Everything just collapses into one point and existence ends. That's the spiral nemesis. The anti-spirals figured this out a million years ago when they were still evolving. They ran the calculations and realized that unlimited growth leads to universal extinction. So they made a choice. They stopped their own evolution completely, sealed themselves away, and started hunting down any spiral race that got too powerful. They weren't evil villains doing this for fun. They genuinely believed they were saving the universe by keeping everyone else from reaching the same point they almost did. That's why they kept attacking Team Gurren throughout the series. Every time humanity pushed past their limits, going from underground to the surface, then to space, then to other galaxies, the anti-spiral saw it as proof that humans would eventually trigger the spiral nemesis. When Simon's crew finally reached the anti-spiral homeworld and started fighting with mechs the size of universes, they were literally proving the anti-spiral's point. That much spiral power in one place was getting dangerously close to causing the exact catastrophe they were trying to prevent. After Simon defeats the anti-spiral and saves Nia, he makes a decision that surprises everyone. Instead of using spiral power to bring Nia back or make himself immortal, he chooses to walk away from it. He understands now that the anti-spirals weren't completely wrong. Unlimited power really could destroy everything. So Simon becomes a nobody, just a random old man drilling wells in villages. He passes the responsibility to the next generation but warns them to be careful. Lil Slugger starts as an urban legend, a kid on golden rollerblades who attacks people with a bent golden baseball bat. But he's not a real person. He's a tulpa, a thought form created by collective belief and stress. Tsukiko Sagi, a character designer, originally created him in her mind as an escape when she was a child. She made up the story of being attacked to avoid responsibility for something bad she did. That lie became Lil Slugger, and he existed in her head as a way out of problems. But when society's stress reaches a breaking point, everyone's anxiety gives him real form. Here's how it works. When someone is under extreme pressure and can't handle their life anymore, Lil Slugger appears and attacks them. The attack isn't really meant to hurt them permanently. It's an escape. After getting hit, the victim can blame all their problems on being attacked. They get sympathy, they get time off, their responsibilities disappear for a while. People start unconsciously wishing to be attacked because it's easier than facing reality. The more people believe in Lil Slugger and fear him, the more real and powerful he becomes. The cops investigating can't catch him because there's nothing to catch. He's not breaking the laws of physics, he's breaking the laws of reality itself. He appears and disappears, changes form, and eventually stops being just one kid on rollerblades. He becomes multiple entities. Anyone stressed enough can see him or become him. The detectives themselves start losing their grip on what's real. One of them realizes that Lil Slugger is feeding on society's need to escape responsibility and pain. Things escalate when people stop just wanting to be attacked and start wanting to disappear entirely. Maromi, the cute pink dog character that Tsukiko designed, represents ultimate escapism, a soft, comforting fantasy world where nothing bad happens. As society's stress increases, more people retreat into delusions. They stop going to work, stop interacting with reality, and just exist in their own fantasy worlds. The city starts breaking down because no one's doing their jobs or facing their problems anymore. The apocalypse in Paranoia Agent isn't fire or war, it's everyone giving up. In the final episodes, Tokyo gets consumed by a wave of darkness that's actually collective delusion. Buildings crumble, reality warps, and the city returns to an empty primordial state. It's not that the world physically ends, it's that civilization stops functioning because everyone chose comfortable lies over the harsh truth. The few characters who resist this have to literally fight against the comforting delusion of Maromi and accept reality, pain, and all. Society can rebuild, but only if people are willing to face their problems instead of creating monsters to blame them on. Tetsuo was just a regular gang member until he crashed his bike trying to avoid Takashi, one of the Esper children. That accident awakened psychic powers inside him that were always there but dormant. The problem is that Tetsuo's powers grow too fast and too strong. The Espers, Kyoko, Takashi, and Masaru, had years of training and drugs to control their abilities. Tetsuo gets nothing. His power just keeps expanding every day, and his body and mind can't handle it. The government tries to stop him by pumping him full of suppression drugs, but it doesn't work. Tetsuo's psychic abilities keep evolving beyond what anyone can measure. He starts reading minds, moving objects with his thoughts, and eventually just destroying anything in his path. His body begins breaking down because human cells weren't designed to contain that much power. His arm gets blown off in a fight, and he just creates a new mechanical one out of scrap metal using his mind. That's when everyone realizes he's not human anymore. He's turning into something else. When Tetsuo's power finally hits critical mass, his body starts mutating out of control. His cells multiply and grow into this massive organic blob of flesh. It's not cancer, it's his body trying to contain infinite power in a finite space and failing catastrophically. The blob grows bigger and bigger, absorbing everything it touches. Other characters, buildings, vehicles, they all get pulled into this expanding mass of Tetsuo's mutating flesh. He's crying and screaming inside this thing because he's still conscious, still aware, but he can't stop it. The other espers and Akira himself show up at this point. Akira was the original psychic who destroyed Tokyo 30 years ago. His power was so strong it created a crater where the old city used to be. The espers don't try to stop Tetsuo's transformation. Instead, they guide it. They help him channel all that power into one moment, and Tetsuo essentially becomes a new Big Bang. His consciousness expands beyond physical form entirely. He's not dead. He becomes something cosmic, maybe a new universe entirely. The explosion takes out all of Neo-Tokyo in a blast of pure energy. Demons have been sleeping inside Earth since before humans existed. They're ancient creatures that ruled the planet millions of years ago, and they've been waiting in ice and underground for the right moment to come back. When they wake up, they don't just attack humans directly, they possess them. A demon can merge with a human body and take it over completely, turning regular people into monsters. Once the possessions start happening across the world, humanity doesn't stand a chance. The scary part is how fast society falls apart. Ryo, who's actually Satan in human form, starts exposing the existence of demons to the world through media and the internet. He shows footage of demon possessions and attacks, and instead of bringing people together, it destroys them. Humans start suspecting everyone around them of being demons. Neighbors kill neighbors. Families turn on each other. The paranoia spreads faster than the actual demons do. People form mobs and start burning anyone they think might be possessed, which is exactly what Satan wanted. Humans destroying themselves. Then the real war starts. Devil men like Akira, humans who gained demon powers but kept their human hearts, try to protect what's left of humanity. But they're outnumbered and outmatched. Demons are stronger, they don't have human weaknesses, and they keep possessing more people every day. Cities burn, governments collapse, and within weeks the world looks like a wasteland. There's no organized military response that works because you can't tell who's human and who's a demon until it's too late. The final battle happens with Akira leading the last group of devilmen against Satan's demon army. It's not even close. The demons slaughter them all. Miki, the girl Akira loved, gets torn apart by a human mob before the battle even starts. Her death basically represents the complete failure of humanity. They killed the most innocent person among them out of fear. Akira fights Satan one last time and Satan rips him in half. Akira dies holding on to his human emotions until the very end. After Satan wins, Earth is just done. Every human is dead. Every devil man is dead. The planet is covered in bodies, fire, and ruins. Satan sits there holding Akira's dead body, finally realizing he actually cared about him, but it's too late. There's no one left to save. Then the sky opens up and God's angels appear to wipe out what's left. Because apparently this whole cycle of demons rising and destroying humanity has happened before and will happen again. Earth becomes a frozen wasteland waiting for the next reset. Zero survivors, complete extinction, and it was all according to Satan's plan to prove that humans weren't worth saving. QB drops this bomb on Madoka pretty casually. The entire universe is slowly dying. Entropy is basically the universe running out of usable energy. Everything that happens uses up energy, and eventually there won't be any left. Stars will stop burning, atoms will stop moving, and everything just freezes in total darkness forever. According to QB, this isn't some distant problem. It's already happening, and his species, the incubators, have been fighting it for who knows how long. The incubators discovered that human emotions can create energy that actually breaks the laws of physics. Specifically, when a magical girl transforms into a witch, the emotional energy released in that moment is enormous. Hope turning into despair generates more energy than anything else in the universe. So QB's entire system, granting wishes, creating magical girls, watching them fall into despair and become witches, it's all just an energy farm. He's using teenage girls as batteries to keep the universe alive. QB targets young girls specifically because they feel emotions more intensely than anyone else. That moment when a girl full of hope realizes her wish was a trap and turns into a monster, that single transformation releases enough energy to delay entropy for a while. The incubators have been doing this across countless planets and timelines. They don't see it as cruel. To them, sacrificing a few individuals to save all of existence makes perfect sense. They can't understand why humans would be upset about it. Madoka's solution is to literally rewrite how the universe works. When she makes her final wish, she doesn't just save one person or fix one problem. She wishes that all witches across every timeline, past and future, disappear before they're born. This rewrites the laws of reality itself. Now, instead of becoming witches, magical girls just vanish when their soul gems fill with despair. Madoka herself becomes a concept, the law of cycles, that appears at the moment of a magical girl's despair. and takes them away before they can transform. The problem is, this doesn't actually solve the entropy issue completely. The incubators lose their most efficient energy source, but the universe is still dying. Madoka just made it so the cost isn't paid by making girls into monsters. The system still exists, but now it's less horrible. The universe is still running out of energy, just slower, and without the witch transformations that made QB's system so effective. The walls of Paradise Island aren't just walls. They're made of millions of colossal titans standing side by side, hardened into a shell. King Fritz built them 100 years ago as both protection and a threat. He told the world that if anyone attacked Paradise, he'd release these titans and they'd flatten the entire planet. For a century, that threat kept Paradise safe, but when Eren gains full control of the founding titan's power, he actually does it. He removes the hardening and wakes up every single wall titan at once. These aren't normal titans. Colossal titans are 50 to 60 meters tall, and they generate so much heat that anything near them just burns. When millions of them start walking, they don't go around obstacles. They walk straight through everything. Cities, forests, mountains, people, it all gets crushed under their feet. The ground shakes like constant earthquakes. The heat burns the air, and they just keep marching forward in an endless line, covering the entire continent. There's no outrunning them and no way to fight that many at once. Eren's plan is straightforward genocide. He's going to kill everyone outside Paradise Island to end the cycle of hatred permanently. For 2,000 years, Eldians and the rest of the world have been at war. The world wants to exterminate all Eldians because they can turn into titans. Eren's solution is to flip the script, eliminate the rest of the world first, and Paradise will be the only civilization left. No more enemies, no more threat, complete freedom for his people. He knows it's monstrous, but he does it anyway. The rumbling kills roughly 80% of humanity outside the walls before Eren gets stopped. That's not 80% of soldiers or 80% of one country. That's 80% of every man, woman, and child on the planet. Entire nations just cease to exist. The Alliance, made up of his former friends and enemies working together, manages to reach Eren and stop him, but the damage is already done. Mikasa kills Eren in the end, cutting his head off while he's in his founding titan form. The wall titans collapse and stop moving, but billions of people are already dead. The story doesn't really answer whether partial genocide is ever justified. Paradise survives and gets decades of peace, but eventually the cycle of violence continues anyway. Eren killed most of the world to buy time, and in the end it didn't even bring permanent freedom. The world of Berserk is actually two worlds stacked on top of each other. The physical world where humans live, and the astral world where all the demons, spirits, and supernatural things exist. For most of human history, these two worlds were separate. You couldn't see the monsters unless you had special abilities or got too close to really dark places. But that separation is breaking down, and when it completely disappears, reality as humans know it ends. The God Hand has been working toward this merger for centuries through the eclipse ceremonies. Every time someone becomes a member of the God Hand, they sacrifice thousands of people, and all that death and suffering weakens the barrier between worlds. Griffith's eclipse was just one of many, but his rebirth as Femto in a physical body was different. When he returned as the Hawk of Light and created his kingdom of Falconia, he wasn't just playing king, he was setting up the final step. The actual merge happens during the World Transformation or Fantasia arc. Griffith uses the global eclipse, a massive ceremony that covers the entire planet, to completely shatter the barrier. Once it breaks, all those nightmare creatures from the astral side come flooding into the physical world. Trolls, ogres, sea monsters, dragons, things that only existed in stories are now real, and hunting humans everywhere. Entire cities get wiped out overnight. The rules of reality change because now magic and supernatural beings are just part of everyday life. There's an entity called the Idea of Evil that exists in the deepest part of the astral world. It looks like a massive heart covered in faces. According to what Griffith learned, this thing was created by humanity's collective unconscious. All the suffering, fear, and desire for meaning that humans felt throughout history combined into this godlike being that manipulates causality itself. It created the God Hand as its tools and has been steering human events to cause maximum suffering, because that's what it was born from, and what feeds it. Humans now live in a world where their worst fears literally hunt them in broad daylight, and there's a cosmic entity feeding on their despair that arranged all of it. If you like this video, turn on the notification bell and subscribe for more.